Ladies and gentlemen, this weekend the UFC will be taking its talents up to the great country of Canada for a great main event. We got De Ridder versus Allen, but overall, I think it's a solid card. We've had back to back good fight nights, so you can't complain. We got big Giga Chad, Big Chin Drew Dober, and oh my days, we have Davey fucking Grant Might. Um, yeah, let's get straight into it. First fight of the card. Oh, you already know. You already know. And this is not a UFC card. If one of the first two fights isn't an WMMA stinker, unless we're in Saudi Arabia. But yeah, we got the marauder that is Melissa Croden making her UFC debut against Tainara Lisboa. When it comes to Melissa Croden, who the fuck actually knows? Like, if you have not had a fight in the UFC, there is a 0% chance I've seen you. And if you haven't had a fight in the UFC, there's a good chance, that you're not at the level that these other ladies are, especially Lisboa, who has fought in the UFC, who has two wins in the UFC. She did lose pretty bad in her last fight. She did get subbed. She does have the better mean mug. So, with that being said, that's not the reason why. She has UFC fights. She has wins in the UFC. I think this is just the UFC trying to get a Canadian on there, which they love to do, as they did with the Brazilians, as they do with the Mexicans, as they do with pretty much anywhere where they go. So with that being said, this is one isn't too hard. I'm gonna go Tainara Lisboa by decision. Yeah, not much to say about it. Moving up on the card, we got Azamat Bekov versus Yusiri Belarugi. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. When it comes to Bekov, he's a very he's a fighter that has a lot of power. He was an LFA champ. He's had a couple KOs in the UFC. He has decent experience in the UFC. Bellary is, you might recognize him. He is a training partner of Alex Pereira Proatan. But as we've seen before, that doesn't always translate to being good inside the octagon. He is 1-1 in his UFC appearances, both being in the Dana White Contender Series. He hasn't looked too impressive. He does come from Glory Kickboxing as well. So we've seen a little bit of flashes. He's 6'5", lanky motherfucker. But just not too impressive at all. Not really special on the ground. I think if Bekov really wanted to, he could take him down. But I think this would be mainly standing on the feet, and Bekov's gonna get it done by TKO. I believe he's more special. He has a little bit more of that it factor, at least that we've seen so far. So nothing really to discuss there. Yeah, he's just the better fighter in my opinion. Moving up. Oh my days, we have another WMMA banger. And I'm saying banger. You got Stephanie Luciano versus Ravenna Oliveira. I mean, guys, who the fuck cares? If we're being honest with ourselves, they gave Luciano the option to fight the same person again after they drew in the Contender Series, I believe, and then she lost. Fair play to her, she did beat that girl, but then she lost in her next fight. Oliveira lost in her UFC debut. I will say Oliveira does look more like a tough cookie than Luciano, so when they come face to face, she might mean mug her a little bit too much, but nothing really too much to say about either of them. Luciano more of a kickboxer. Oliveira also more of a kickboxer, but has a little bit more takedowns. Just doesn't have that jiu-jitsu game. Nothing really special for either of them. Luciano did have a closer fight in her L, and I think that's what's really going to come down to me picking her to win by decision. WMMA fight, decision. I was wrong in the last couple. We did have some finishes with these WMMA girls, which I did say actually Bia Mesquita by sub. I changed my prediction, and I was right. So, maybe I have some ball knowledge when it comes to these WMMA. So don't forget, man. Don't forget. All right, moving up, we got the man himself. We got Drew, racist, Giga Chad, Dober. No, he's not actually racist, but I'm not sure if you guys are aware of the meme. This guy just does not tend to do well against white fighters, but beats the shit out of black fighters. Uh, why? I don't know. Uh, maybe you can ask Drew Dober. He can tell you that. He is facing Kyle Prepelec, who, he's 0-3 in the UFC. The only reason he's here is probably because he's just Canadian, and he stepped in short notice for Benoit Saint-Denis, and he held in there for a little bit, but he got fucking finished. I'd say this guy, I think it'd be very optimistic, or it'd be very nice to him to say that he is a UFC level. Drew Giga Chad Dober, 3-fight L streak. The only thing that may worries me is that, even though his chin is big as fuck, it might be gone. He just got knocked the fuck out by Manuel El Loco Torres. And look, El Loco, don't get me wrong, he's a pretty decent prospect, but nothing special. He finished him with a 1-2. But that being said, he is UFC level. He has been there with the guys. He's been in there with the guys. He's been in there with the guys. So I'm gonna say he knocks Prepelec out. Won't be too hard in my opinion. He's gonna go in there and do his Drew Dober thing, and I think get the job done. So moving up, we got Danny Barlow versus Jordan Santos. Once again, these some of these fights are a little hard to watch, but it's fine. We'll take it. We hopefully won a good finish here. But when it comes to Barlow and Santos, they're both fairly new to the UFC. They're Barlow's 3-1, Jordan Santos 1-1, only win in the Contender Series. Same thing, man. Danny Barlow's just been in there with the guys, man. He's been in there with the guys. Not much to break down on here. Both are decent kickboxers. Not really gonna try to take the fight down to the mat. Yeah, not much to say about these guys. I'm gonna pick Danny Barlow by decision. You know what? I mean, he does have decent power. Maybe shoot him a bet by KO. I think that wouldn't be hard. Santos, we don't even know if he's UFC worthy. Just because he got to win in the Contender Series doesn't mean you're all that, as we've seen many times. So, I wouldn't put your marbles on either of them, or your marbles, but maybe Danny Barlow by KO as well. If I had to pick a finish. Moving on. Now this is an actual fight that I'm looking forward to. These are two good. Well, Bruno Silva has been in there. Hillsong Park is, they're kind of both on opposite directions. Bruno Silva is 35 right now. He is on the 2L streak. He got finished by Pillow Hands Van. And hey, Joshua Van, as we know, great fighter, about to fight for the title. But if we know one thing about Joshua Van is he doesn't have too much power. I know, he did knock down Royval as well, but that was kind of a flash knockdown at the end of the fight. Nothing to take away against Joshua Van. He has pillow hands. Let's be real with ourselves. They both have kind of folded when it comes to facing good opposition, good ranked opposition. So that kind of worries me a little bit for both. But Hyun-Sung Park has shown a little bit more flash. He does have a finishing streak. I know Bruno Silva did have a finishing streak as well, but you just see more dominance from Hyun-Sung Park. He did take that Tatsuro Taira fight on short notice. So, something to be said there. Like I said, he did get crushed, but it's short notice. He wasn't expecting that. He's a good pressure fighter. He has good BJJ, as we've seen. His 3 wins his 3 UFC appearance wins are by sub. So I think ultimately he's gonna pressure him. He's gonna be in there with Bruno Silva. He's not gonna let him get comfortable. And as we saw against Van and Kopp, when he gets the fight taken to him, he folds a little bit, which is why I'm gonna go with Hyun-Sung Park by sub. Actually, I'm gonna go by sub. I think he's gonna pressure him a lot, and in somewhere in there, he's gonna take him down, find that sub. He's gonna have Bruno Silva rocked a little bit. His chin may be gone if you're getting knocked down by Joshua Van. Maybe it was all the volume that Joshua Van was throwing at Bruno Silva, but I believe that Hyun Sung Park's gonna get this done. He's gonna win for sure. I'm gonna say sub. I'm gonna bet on him. Bet on him to take that next step. He has seen the next level in Tatsuro Taira, so I think he'll be more motivated to improve his game and go in there and have kind of a statement win. But either way, I think he gets it done. Moving on. Oh my fucking days. We got Davey fucking Grant, mate. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see Davey Grant back. He's kind of that meme fighter that everyone loves. He's a marauder. He might be a little bit just toe crafty for himself, if that makes sense. He's should be 5-0. That Marcos fight was kind of a robbery. He should be 5-0 in his last 5. He's had a lot of fights in the UFC. He's been in there with the guys. I keep saying, bro, but when you're in there with the guys, when you're in there with the guys, I'm gonna favor you. No, but Charles Jourdain, nothing to mess around with. He has great submission skills. He does have mediocre offensive and defensive wrestling, which is why I would kind of see a fight where Davey Grant takes Jourdain down and kind of keeps him there for a little bit. He is a younger, quicker guy, so the only thing that does concern me is that maybe he could catch him with some sort of submission when he has his back on the mat. Davey Grant, he's just a crafty man, guy. He's a crafty man. Charles Jourdain is moving down, so I think that Davey Grant will have kind of that lighter man skill. I think you know where I'm alluding to this. I'm going to go with Davey Grant by decision. I actually didn't know that Charles Jourdain was moving down. That makes sense. He is a featherweight. He has been a featherweight his whole career. And, Davey Grant, he's got some lighter man skill. He has the momentum. They are in Canada, which favors Jourdain. And, like I said, he is a younger guy. But give me Davey Crafty Vet Grant by decision. Lock that one in, guys. If Davey Grant loses, we are all sad. We are all sad. Moving up on the fight card, we got Kyle Nelson against Matt Frivola. When it comes to Kyle Nelson, he is moving up. So, lighter man skill might apply. He is really nothing special, though. I think in this case, this is more of moving up because he realized that he's not going to make it in his lower weight class. He is pretty good all around, nothing crazy. It's your basic 3-star MMA build on UFC 5. They threw him in there because he's Canadian. They want the Canadians to be in this card and hopefully win. But here's the thing. When it comes to Matt Frivola, you never really know what you're going to get. That's the kind of fighter that he is. He is a finish or be finished fighter. He's going to go in there guns fucking blazing. He's very clearly powerful on the feet, but he doesn't really have a good chin to back that up. So, when he goes in there and tries to have these crazy exchanges, he gets knocked out in brutal fashion like he did versus Saint Denis and versus Ziem for a Ziem. That was a crazy knee. You should go back and watch that finish if you haven't. He has beat Drew Dober, so that's a little bit of respect. Drew Dober was ranked at some point. So, I don't think Matt Frivola will be necessarily scared of Kyle Nelson. Maybe he's just a bit afraid that his own chin is gone. But we haven't really seen Kyle Nelson knock anyone out or have a big pack a punch. Especially now that he's moving up. And I know lighter man skill does apply, but I don't think it'll apply in this one. I think we're going to see Matt Frivola get it done by KO. The fucking Americans, man. Americans are going to come to win in Canada, man. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. I just think Matt Frivola is a bit more proven. Like I said, has at least 8 and it factor. And I think he's going to get it done by KO. I just hope he sees something crazy. I hope he don't see Kyle Nelson just take him down. He doesn't really take people down. Matt Furwell takes more people down, if anything. But he's going to keep it standing. He's going to get that knockout. But yeah, moving up. You got Cody Gibson against... Don't make fun of you. Don't make fun of me if I get this wrong. Archie Lang. This Chinese geezer. When it comes to Cody Gibson, he's 2-2 in the UFC. He's just a bit of a marauder, you know. He's a bit of a marauder. That's his fight style. He likes to pressure guys and be in there. I said 2-2 in the UFC. He's 2-3 in his UFC appearances. Archie Long, like I said, your basic 3-star MMA build in UFC 5. He lost to Ayman Zahabi by KO. That should tell you everything you need to fucking know. Because, you know, Zahabi, I will say, he is a good all-around MMA fighter, but he does not pack a punch. So he just got outskilled by far on the feet by Zahabi, which, I don't know, that's just a bad sign for me. He has pillow hands, Zahabi, but he is taking the goal, but he just has pillow hands. He is, Archie Lang is kind of inactive. He does have a loss to Chiwiwi. So, you know, and Chiwiwi, I really do like him. I think he's good, especially because he's so young, but he is not the best. Both of these guys are nothing to write home about. I think they're mostly going to strike, if anything. They might try and take each other down, but they both really have mid wrestling and mid submission game. So, you know, this won't be a barn burner. This is kind of just a filler fight. Like I said, you could grab your 4th or 5th beer by then. Here in the States, in the West Coast, it'll be 4 p.m. So, you know, you could be a little more on the deeper side of those beers. You could grab your 4th, 5th beer by this fight. But I'm gonna go with Cody Gibson by decision, or Cody Gibson by decision. Like I said, not much to say, not much to write home about these guys. Dana, get your shit together, Dana. No, he's getting his shit together. I'll talk a little bit more and then about what's coming up for me. But moving on, we got Manon Fiorot against Jasmine Judavicius. I'm not even trying to be a hardcore here. I am kind of looking forward to this fight. These are two women that, you know, when it comes to Manon Fiorot, she's just flashy on the feet. She's not really powerful, but she's really flashy on the feet. She lands a lot of strikes. She knows how to move around. She has light feet. And when it comes to Jasmine Judavicius, she's someone that she's a rare WMMA fighter that actually tries to go for finishes. Maybe it's because her fight style kind of produces that in itself a little bit, but I really do like to see when any fighter in general likes to go for finishes. That's what's fun about the sport. So, like I said, she will try and go for the takedowns. She has Jasmine Judavicius does have a decent amount of finishes in the UFC. Like I said, especially for a WMA fighter, kind of good at just mixing it all up. We'll strike with you. We'll take you down. We'll try and sub you. We'll, you know, stand back up, strike again. But when it comes to Manon Fiorot, man, I mean, look at the name she's beat first of all, and the fight she's been in there with. Her only L in her career is fucking Valentina Shevchenko, who's going for GOAT status in the next, not this next pay-per-view, but the next one after that. She's going for WMMA GOAT status. Nothing to be ashamed about. And Manon Fiorot has shown great takedown defense. You know, in that fight against Shevchenko, she did get taken down, but it wasn't every exchange that she got taken down. I do think Shevchenko does have better takedown skills than anyone else in this division, maybe even in MMA. So that should say a lot about how good Fiorot is. I believe she has like 80% takedown defense, which is really good. That's even better than Judavicius. She is a bit of a decision merchant. You know, like she doesn't really pack a punch anywhere with her hands or with her feet. But, you know, we could see what happened. I'm gonna trust the one that has shown great takedown defense, which is what Judo Vicious is good at. And I'm gonna go Manfrotto by decision. Like I said, great takedown defense, more skilled on the feet by far than JJ. So I'm gonna go with Manfrotto. This should be an interesting fight. I could definitely see Jasmine Judo Vicious win, but I'm gonna bet on Manfrotto. I do think she is the third or at worst fourth best fighter in this division overall. So that's what we're going with. Let's go for that. Let's go for that. Moving up. Now this is actually a fight where you're kind of excited. You know you're gonna get some good exchanges. When it comes to Chito Vera, I mean he has been inactive. His last fight was around a year ago, I believe. He is a bit more of a marauder kind of style. He has maybe the best chin in the UFC we have ever seen. I mean, look at the fucking knee that he took from O'Malley. The sound that made. Nothing should be hitting your head that hard that it's making this sound. Like, that was fucking insane. And the fact that only kind of stumbled him back is crazy. And he only got knocked down by Davison Figueiredo, but it was kind of, like I said, a bit of a flash knockdown. But, Chito Vera, man, he's been in there with the guys, man. He's been in there with the guys. Look at the 3 guys that he's lost to in his last 5. Sandhagen, who just fought for the title, which we know is really good. Probably the 3rd best fighter in this division. Sugar, who is probably the 4th or 5th best fighter in this division. And Figueiredo just came back this past weekend and beat Monto Jackson. So definitely not a scrub. When it comes to Amin Zahabi, like, he's low-key a T word in this division. He he high-key barely beat a fucking old, basically retired Jose Aldo. He got fucking soccer kicked to the fucking skull. He himself is 37 years old, which is crazy. He doesn't really have any great wins, except that Aldo win. But like I said, that could have gone either way. So that in itself is not that impressive. This is a fight that really could go either way. I'm really, maybe not excited, but I'm really interested to see how this long layover affected Cheeto. He has shown to have good power. He mixes it up on the feet. He'll go in there with boxing exchanges, but he also will use his feet to his legs. I mean, I keep saying feet. I mean legs to mix it up, kind of get you at different angles. He'll get some knees in there. He'll get kind of crafty. Zahabi is really good himself on the feet. I'd be interested to see if Chito Vera tries to take this to the mat. I think that could maybe be his best kind of way to win. So this will be an interesting fight. I think, get back to this fight. You want to have your 6th beer by then. Get back to this fight. It's going to be good. By the way, if you're not 21 or older, don't drink, all right? I'm not promoting, all right? Chill out. But ultimately, I'm going to go with Chito Vera by decision. I mean, like I said, man, he's been in there with the guys, man. The only thing that does worry me is that he has had a long layover. And even in those fights, except O'Malley just beat the fuck out of him. He had maybe 1 or 2 good moments in that fight. Sandhagen showed that there's levels to this shit. Levels that I don't think Amin Zahabi has. And with Figueiredo, I think he was in there at times. Definitely lost the fight, but he's in there at times. Zahabi barely beat an old Jose Aldo. I think Chito Vera is going to be faster. Actually, I don't know if he's going to be faster. I think he's definitely going to pack more of a punch. And we saw that you can definitely land on Amin Zahabi. He doesn't have the perfect defense. So I'm going to go with Chito Vera. I don't think he'll knock him out. But if anything, it will be a knockout. I'm going to go with decision. Chito Vera by decision. Lock that one in. Moving on to the co-main event. Guys, any co-main event where we have Kevin Holland in there should just tell you a lot about the fight. Like, it's a good card for the hardcore guys, but there's nothing to write home about if you have Kevin Holland in the co-main event. But I mean, what to say about fucking Kevin Holland? The probably the most unreliable fighter the UFC has ever seen. He just doesn't care about wins and losses. He just wants to fucking fight. Yeah, I think he has 20 plus fights since 2020, which is absolutely insane. It's unheard of. If only he could go on a run. He's shown flashes of being really good, but he just fucking lost to fucking Danny Rodriguez. So, what the fuck are we doing, Kevin Holland? You bet on this guy one fight. He looks like shit. You bet against him the next fight. He looks like a fucking world beater. I will say welterweight is his division, so I'm glad that he's kind of sticking to welterweight. He is more dangerous. He does have great BJJ on his back. Striking, I think he might be a little more skilled than Mike Malott, or not skilled, but just a little bit more dangerous on the feet as well. Pack a bit more of a punch. But I mean, in his last 5 fights, I know they have been against good competition, and he did lose to two middleweights and the Ridder. But his last two wins are an old Vicente Luque and Kyle Nelson, or Gunnar Nelson, sorry, two washed fighters, and he just lost to Danny Rodriguez. I think it'll matter a lot more for Mike Malott getting into him a little bit. He is at home. I don't think he's gonna get taken down. I don't see why Kevin Holland would try and take him down. I could see why, but I just don't think he'll be able to. He's not gonna commit to a scrap on the ground. Mike Malott is a little bit more technical on the feet, like I was saying, but doesn't really pack a punch like Kevin Holland does. This guy should be 5-0 in his last 5. He was beating Neil Magny, and then he got knocked down and just kind of gave up, which was super weird. I just think it's, Mike Malott, he's at home. He could get starched by Kevin Holland, but I'm going to go Mike Malott by sub. I think it's going to be a stars aligning moment. If anything, I think he's going to try and take Kevin Holland down, get him down a little bit, and Holland's going to try and, latch up a crazy submission, and he's just going to get caught by Mike Malott. Or Mike Malott has a good exchange on the feet, and Holland tries to kind of shoot a panic takedown, or kind of gets knocked down a little bit, or kind of gets a little bit more stunned, and Mallett's going to take advantage, take him down, and sub him. I could definitely see a decision for Mike Malott. Like I said, he doesn't pack a punch, and if anything, I think he'll be the one that wants to have exchanges on the ground. But if he has success on the feet, I could just see him trying to strike for all 3 rounds. But he could get starts like he did against Neil Magny, so watch out for that. Like I said, Kevin Holland is the most fucking unreliable fighter. He could go in there and have a fucking masterclass just to fucking give it to Mike Malott that he's at home. But I'm gonna go with Mike Malott. I'm gonna go with my gut here. You just can't trust Kevin Holland, bro. All right, main event of the evening. We got Reinier de Ridder against Brendan Allen. I'm super excited for this fight. I think this is going to be a great fight. This is going to be a fucking scrap. A scrap and a half, if that. I mean, what to say about Reinier de Ridder? Goofy ass style. We all know that. DDP ass style. I believe he is a little bit more gifted on the feet. I won't say technical, because to say anyone like RDR or DDP is technical is funny, even though there is some technique to being that goofy style. But yeah, I just think he's a little bit more talented on the feet. Brendan Allen, pure wrestling wise, I think he does hold a bit of an advantage, and he's gonna do well in exchanges on the ground. We've seen him have some success against Greg. I mean, he had great success against Paul Craig, who's a big BJJ guy, and RDR does have great BJJ himself. So we'll see how those exchanges on the ground go. I am excited to see how many times the fight goes to the ground. I think it might be a little bit less than what people expect, because Brendan Allen is not afraid to be in there like he was against Marvin Vettori. He is a bit of a blockhead. You know, he didn't move his head at all against Marvin Vettori. Neither did Vettori, and they were kind of just fucking throwing it down. I believe that did get fight of the night in UFC 318, that Holloway Poirier card. He'll be in there, like I said. Brendan Allen will be in there. But you know, RDR, he's kind of like EDP. You know, he'll have losing moments. He'll have moments where you're like, oh, like this could get bad for him, and then he just fucking flukes a sub, flukes a knockdown, something like that. He did get starched by Robert Whittaker, but he was able to get the job done. So this is gonna be a good fight. I think we're gonna see some great back and forths, and ultimately, I'm gonna go with Reinier de Ridder by round 4 finish. I'm gonna say finish. If anything, I think he'll sub him, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a TKO on the ground or ground and pound finish. How I see this playing out is that Brendan Allen takes one of the first 2 rounds from Reinier de Ridder, and so Reinier de Ridder just kind of starts to lock in, has some good exchanges on the feet, kind of gets that second win that he and guys like DDP like to get. So I think something like that along those lines will happen, and we'll get to round 3, round 4. Brendan Allen's going to be a little bit more fatigued. We saw in that Marvin Vettori fight towards the end, he did get fatigued. He wasn't able to just throw it down for all that time. And that was a 3-round fight. This is going to be a 5-round fight. And, you know, Brendan Allen has had 5-round fights, but I believe the cardio of RDR is just going to be better and a bit too overwhelming. And he's going to starch Brendan Allen, although he does have a good chin, or kind of have a good exchange on the feet, take him down, and Brendan Allen's just going to be a bit too tired of, you know, all the exchanges they've had on the feet, on the ground. RDR is going to be a bit, like I said, more technical, quote unquote, and he's going to find the right shot on the ground, finish him by ground and pound, or like I said, fluke a sub. Brendan Allen's BJJ defense is alright. It's pretty decent, but I think the kind of awkwardness and weirdness of RDR is just going to help him get the job done. So yeah, I'm gonna go with RDR by round 4 finish, round 3 or 4. But just to give something, I'll say round 4. I don't want to give a KO or sub straight answer. I won't be doing that a lot. I mean, if I give you round 4 finish, you can kind of get an idea of what I think is going to happen. Obviously, I do have a winner of this fight, so I won't always give a straightforward, like I did in my last one. I won't always give a straightforward answer, but RDR, round 4 finish, lock that one in. And yeah, guys, that's going to be my predictions for this upcoming De Ridder versus Allen card. I'm excited. Then we'll have one more week for the pay-per-view, UFC 321. Tom Aspinall is back. And I think I'm going to get an invite from Halo, or not Halo, I'm Halo. I think Halo, myself, might get a cheeky little invite from MMA guru Lucas Tracy and Bedtime. I'm still waiting for it in the mail. I think it's been lost, but if you see me on the live, don't be too surprised. But I hope you enjoyed this card. I hope it's a banger as always. And thanks for watching, guys. And I'll see you next time. Peace.